Hello, Monsters Abound here, and welcome to some fairly exclusive footage from Total War Warhammer 3. So the Total War content partners have been given some various different footage from different Warhammer 3 battles involving different factions, different locations. They've all been supplied by the Influencer Relations Manager. I don't know if we're allowed to name him, so I'm going to call him J-Dog. So J-Dog has very kindly provided us with a whole host of different combinations, and we, the Total War content partners, have been allowed to pick, I believe it's 2 or 3 videos, and then to show them off to you. So I've picked a couple, mostly because I'm currently in the process of moving, so I have no time. I should be packing right now, and I am not. Instead, I'm doing this. As such, this is going to be fairly rough and ready, and I'm sorry about that. But I did want to show some of this footage because it's really cool. I don't think since the battle preview, I don't think we've really seen a huge amount. Obviously, we had the siege battle overview, the cinematic for that. That was quite cool. But we're actually seeing some actual battles being played here, which is really nice. Obviously, this is Khorne. Well, say I'm playing as Khorne. No, J-Dog is playing as Khorne, attacking a Cathayan city. See the old Khorne siege towers there appear to be some big brass thingies being borne aloft by a large pulsating pile of screaming, burning skulls, which is very on theme for Khorne. I mean, it's his only theme. Frankly, the fact it's not leaving a trail of blood behind it, a little bit disappointed. Literally unplayable. Hopefully they can fix that before the release. Now, it should be said that development is still in progress on this, so nothing is final. So don't start losing your shit about the fact that, I don't know, someone doesn't have enough melee attack or something. Balancing will take place. I have no doubt that balancing will take place even after release. I mean, the balancing for Total War Warhammer 2 has continued. Every single patch seems to have, you know, various different tweaks to units as they try and balance stuff. I was a little bit disappointed, I think, to find that the Khorne, you know, the demonic armies had mortal elements to them. But with that said, I don't think the demonic armies ever really had a huge roster, did they? They tended to be, you know, if you were playing a pure Khorne, sorry, not Khorne, but demon army, a pure demon army, then you were bound to have like 1 or 2 to 3 maybe different types of demons in there. Usually 2, because Chaos Gods hate each other, don't they? So you'd usually sort of like have a couple of different varieties. But I think that the decision to add the mortal units, obviously to pad out the roster a little bit, and also we don't know what could be coming, because obviously they've got DLC. What else could they be adding in future? And I'm wondering whether they might be making some units with Games Workshop's blessing, some demonic units to be added. I guess it's trickier because obviously demons sort of like spread into Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar. So if you create a demon for Warhammer, then technically those demons exist for those 2 games as well. So a little bit trickier. But I think as we're starting to see the mechanics for different demonic races, it was definitely the right decision to make them their own faction. And the fact that it's all sort of, you know, it's very... all of the units are themed. Obviously you've got the Chaos, Khorne Chaos Warriors. They look quite cool. The Khorne Minotaurs, they look quite cool. I'm kind of coming round to the idea now. I mean, I might be coming round to Khorne in general, because as much as I find Khorne the least interesting Chaos God, don't at me, alright? I know there's guys out there who love their Khorne. They like shouting skulls for the Skull Throne and that kind of shit. But he's got red demons with horns. That's literally the most baseline demon you can get. Not to mention that he has his only personality is just roaring at people. That's all Khorne does. So he is the most boring Chaos Gods, because the others at least have something going on with them. Khorne's very one-dimensional, isn't he? But with that said, he does have the Minotaurs, which I like. I do like the Minotaurs. He also got the is it the Flesh Hounds? the flesh hounds. Now, I do like my doggos, and they're very powerful doggos. So, you know, look, I'm only a man. The heart wants what the heart wants, and it happens to want doggos and minotaurs. What can I say? So that's nice. And obviously got a skull cannon. That looks horrific. Did you see the... Did you see the mouth of that thing? Ugh. Oof. I wouldn't want to be on the other end of whatever that's shooting out. Christ. In fact, it's quivering as well. Yes. So the UI for the battle is pretty good. I like the fact you can now got the little markers on the HP bars as well, because I was forever not being able to know when I could cast Warp Bomb on some clan rats. You know, you'd think it was 50%, you'd be hammering that button and nothing would be happening. I think J-Dog was a little bit nervous about people seeing his combat abilities, but to be honest, I think he's doing very well. I spend most of my battles in slow motion or paused. That's why I record the replays. That's just how I roll. There was a cinematic version of this battle, but I think seeing the actual battle in... I think there's something better about seeing the actual... particularly at this point, about seeing the actual battles being played. Because I think we've seen a lot of cinematics and stuff, but we haven't seen a lot of actual sort of like battle gameplay. And so I kind of erred on this. Now, I do like the fact that you can see the little markers there. Obviously, they've got the supplies. I believe that supplies can be reused from things being torn down until you've taken the supply areas, the supply icons. Once you've taken those, they don't have the supplies available, so they can't build more towers and stuff. But I think the idea is, in the new Siege battles, is to sort of use the walls as sort of like a first line of defence, and then to pull back deeper into the city as the battle turns against you. Try and wear out the attackers through attrition as they're moving through the city. And the city is a lot bigger. And this is something that I'm really excited about. Obviously, the roster here we've got, I think that's is that a Soul Crusher? Soul Crusher, we've got a Bloodthirster, there's an Exalted Bloodletter, and then an Exalted Bloodthirster leading the army. Also got some Chaos Spawn, 5 units of Chaos Warriors, a couple of units of Flesh... Is it Flesh Hounds or Flesh Tearers? I genuinely can't remember. Some Juggernauts, they're quite cool, like them. Bloodletters, of course, they're quite nice. And some Juggernauts with Chaos Warriors on them. Do you think the Exalted Bloodletter outranks the Bloodthirster? Is that how that... I guess it doesn't really matter for it tends to be who can hit the hardest, isn't it? Those Bloodletters seem pretty potent. I think the Cathayan infantry isn't particularly good though. I think the Cathay forces need to work together. So you'd probably use this. I would probably be using this ramp. Like gunners behind, infantry in front, giving the gunners some time to like shoot. You'd want some AoE attacks as well in there, keep the enemy bottled up and wipe them out. We've got one of those terracotta statues over there. And an alchemist. Looks like the AI is pulling deeper into the city. I don't think Lady Dragon. You can see her flapping around over there. I say flapping, more like wriggling. Does she wriggle? She does wriggle, doesn't she? She does seem to wriggle around. She seems to be... I know she's coming back. She's not super happy though. That skull cannon. I just can't look away from its quivering orifice. It's quite distressing. So the cities look pretty good. Obviously you've got these sort of like areas where you can line up your missile units against the wall. And I feel like this area between the two statues, this would be where the city centre was before. But no. And this is something really exciting because I've always said that the more interesting parts of any city battle were always outside the bounds. But the city's now bigger, so they've actually got the interesting bits of the city inside the battle map. Holy shit. That's really cool. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is the city too big? Because are you ever actually going to get to the point where you have to attack? Because there's some high elf city maps which are quite long, and inevitably the army always breaks before you ever get to the point where you have to really get all the way back to the city centre there. But it's nice to see they've got these bridges there. That's really cool. I'd hope that maybe, you know, we could see some battles there. And I think there's like the little underway passes as well. So you've got bridges there. You've got different entrances into the city centre. That's really cool. It's just a really nice map. My only concern is it going to be too big? That's my worry. I've got a little concern there. It's a little bit of a worry. It does look good though. I've not actually seen if he wins this battle. Like I think this might be good if you had like a big garrison and a stack, and a couple of stacks were attacking the city. I think in that case you'd have this really epic battle. My concern is if you just have like a garrison and an army attacking it, it's going to feel a bit sparse. Maybe, I don't know. I think people want these massive cities. And they complain about having, like, you know, just one wall being, you know, one wall section being the part of the city you attack. But I think maybe that keeps the action a bit more contained. It does look like J-Dog's going to pull it through, though. It looks like the enemy army is starting to crumble. He's got this. I think he's got this. I mean, he is fighting against the AI. I don't know what the... I think he was saying he was playing on hard mode. I think that's what he was saying. But it looks like most of the enemy army is now fleeing. Good job. I mean, that was nice to see. I genuinely can't wait to get my hands on this game. Genuinely cannot wait. I think the terracotta statue's unbreakable. I think he's basically won this. He just needs to kill the statue. Terracotta Sentinel. I think he might be an unbreakable boy. I guess he's a statue. What has he got to be scared of? I mean, pottery survives forever. They're constantly digging bits up. So we go. The big old major siege battle for Total Warhammer 3. It looks good. I feel like I need to try it out, but I like the fact the maps, you know, go... I like the fact that the maps are just more interesting. They've just got more stuff going on in them. And that's really nice. Again, I will stress development is still in progress, so don't lose your shit about anything just yet. There we go. Nice old Khorne attacking Cathayan major settlements with walls. But I wonder what happens if you attack a settlement without walls. Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked, because we're actually about to go and have a look at that. So here we are with a Tzzentch force versus an Ogre Kingdoms minor settlements. And something I immediately take away from this is just how different the roster feels from Khorne to Tzzentch. So I know people, you know, I was disappointed by the fact there were mortals in the demon-like armies, but I think if they're unique enough, I think it's going to work really well actually. So I'm feeling a lot better about it. I'm a lot more excited about playing the demon armies now. Obviously, I wanted to play Nurgle, because Nurgle's best boy. But the main thing to take away from this is obviously this is a minor settlement for the Ogre Kingdoms, and the minor settlement actually has sort of defensible positions inside the settlement. Which is really cool. I'm glad they've brought that back, because the minor settlement battles in Warhammer 1 and 2, to a lesser degree, because there were some maps on Warhammer 2 that did sort of start to bring in a bit of defensive areas sometimes, maybe, if you were lucky. For the most case, though, it tended to be just, like, particularly in Warhammer 1, it was just a big flat field with maybe some trees on it, if you were lucky, which, let's face it, you're not going to be able to defend anything there. There's no point, for the most case, trying to fight a minor settlement battle in Warhammer 1 And almost never in Warhammer 2, you're going to be facing a much larger force with no way to really deal with it. So you always had to build walls. Now, though, I feel like, you know, you've got a bit more sort of defensive positioning here. You can plug some of those gaps. You also get supplies. So the enemy army here has the option to build barricades and some towers and provide some defense. Also, the map looks really interesting because you've got these sort of like bridges going across the top and sort of pathways leading underneath. This was something I didn't think that the Total War engine could actually do. But I stand corrected, and I am very excited about that. Obviously, the Tzzentch force is quite flyer heavy. It doesn't have much in the way of particularly strong melee infantry, though. So it's a bit of a strange army, but it does have this shield ability. So you can see this blue and green bar for their health. So the blue bar is a shield ability, which sort of like gives them sort of a replenishing health bar. But it only replenishes after about 5 or 10 seconds out of combat, I think. But it does mean that they are potentially a little bit more tanky, which I think they need, because I don't think they have much in the way of actual like frontline combat troops. I think they're fairly limited in that regard. So it's going to be an interesting balancing act to see whether, like, how good they are.
The cult is ready.
So Cultist of Tzzentch there, so he's got some spells. Obviously, Khorne didn't have any spells because, you know, doesn't like magic, does he? I saw those Doom Riders of Tzzentch. I was like, oh my god, they're almost dead. But no, actually, it's just their shield has been taken down as they ride into combat. I think they may be the tankiest unit that Tzzentch actually has. He's got a lot of flying units. His flying units seem to be the more tanky ones, so it feels like he's going to be quite manoeuvrable. He's got is it the Horrors of Tzzentch as well? The flappy guys, the fly ones. So very airborne army. It's got a fire mage there. Of course, the winds of magic have changed a little bit. You now start off with a much larger pool of magic. And I think the areas where the winds of magic are actually blowing on the campaign map now have a much bigger effect on how much winds of magic you'll actually have available. I can't say I saw the events or saw that the winds of magic would change occasionally, but they almost never had any effects on where I picked to actually have a battle, because it almost never particularly had much of an effect. So I wasn't super worried about it. I think it's going to be a much bigger deal in Warhammer 3. I see. I do like setting things on fire. So again, I was a bit like Tzzentch. Am I going to play Tzzentch? Tzzentch is probably my second favourite Chaos God after Nurgle. And I do like setting things on fire. But I mean, so far, all the mechanics we've seen for the different races look really cool. And I genuinely love this map. It feels like you can have some really good battles on this map. I love Total War Troy because you had these amazing sort of defensive positions on a map. It just feels like it makes it more strategic and tactical, where you can actually sort of like pick a defensive position where you're going to be, flanks defended. At that point, if the enemy's in that position, then you have to think about how you're going to get around that. And it just never happened in Warhammer 1 because there just never was the need for it. Every battle was a big old field with nothing in it. I don't think that did much to the Mornfang cavalry, but never mind. Infernal Gateway, Glean Magic, Blue Fire, Treason of Tzzentch, Tzzentch's Firestorm. That sounds quite nice. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of magic as Tzzentch, because he is magical, like Disneyland. Ah, it's Kairos Fateweaver himself, the legendary lord of Tzzentch. I wonder how many legendary lords we're going to get for demon armies. I also wonder whether we're going to get the minor settlement battles for all factions, because it's going to be a bit weird if only the new factions have the minor settlement battles, isn't it? That's going to be a bit of an odd. So are they going to add minor settlement battles for, say, the Empire and Dark Elves and Lizard Men? I mean, I hope yes, Kairos, I do, but it sounds like a lot of work. I'm wondering if they maybe leave the minor settlement battles for only like the Warhammer 3 map, and the big map you don't have them, which would be a real shame. I wouldn't be in favour of that. The other thing is, obviously we're seeing a settlement battle here with the Ogre Kingdoms, because of course the Ogre Kingdoms have those camps. There's a lot here that I still don't know, and I really hope that they're going to put the effort in and add minor settlement battles to all of the factions for the big Mortal Empires Warhammer 3 map. That's what I want to see. It just seems like a lot of work, and I'm just not entirely convinced it will happen. I really hope it does, because it'll be a shame if it doesn't. And it would be weird if only the new factions had the minor settlement battles with all the supplies and stuff, and then, you know, you played the Empire, and they were back to fighting outside in the field. But I guess we shall just have to see, because I haven't seen word whether it is the case. We'll see the minor settlement battles. We haven't really seen the. I think this is the first. I think the Ogre Kingdoms announcement was probably the first time we saw sort of the fact there were minor settlement battles. Unless I'm entirely wrong. Say, I've been quite busy lately, so I've been desperately trying to keep up with all the Warhammer 3 news, but. See, I do like the Disc Knights. They look awesome. They look great. So we've got a little barricade there. And then, of course, the Ogre Kingdom's looking pretty natty. I think they're going to have to do another. They're going to have to do another run throughout all the factions in Total War Warhammer to bring them up to par for the races in Warhammer 3. Because, of course, all the races in Warhammer 3 have these abilities now. Mind you, I guess they never gave the Warhammer 1 races, like, you know, rights like the Warhammer 2 races did. Not that I feel like rights were particularly, you know, super interesting.
Back away. Flux, magic, lies,
I honestly think minor settlement battles are now going to be really interesting. Whereas before, I couldn't be bothered to play them. But I guess we'll see. I really want to play. I want to take control. Ever since playing that preview battle, I've just been desperate to get more hands-on time with Warhammer 3. Especially with all the new races. Not that, you know, Kislev wasn't neat. They are. They got gun axe boys. They're pretty legit. But I really want to try the new guys. And I can't wait to see what Nurgle brings to the table. Obviously, whatever he does bring to the table is going to be absolutely disgusting. Which I'm here for. I just love the little bridges. I love the fact that you can go under and over the bridge. And it looks like the AI is building towers and stuff as the battle continues. So that's really cool. Is that a Thunder Tusk back there? Guess we'll find out, because I'm going to have a video on some of the units for the roster for the Ogre Kingdoms as well. That's going to be exciting. Definitely keep an eye out for that. And obviously keep an eye out for the other Total War content partners videos, because they will have different battles. There was a whole load to down. I didn't even download all of the videos, to be honest, because I just haven't had the time. Oh, that's pretty sexy. I like that. Indiscriminate as well. That's my favourite kind. Oh, nice little wind spurs. They come around the corner there. Nice attempt, J-Dog. That was good. Looks like this is coming down to the wire. The Ogre Kingdoms are no slouch. He's got some saber tusks over there. There's Skarg the Slaughterer. He's got hooks for hands. Is that some Noblar hunters chucking axes? Might be. Are they building a tower? Maybe. Or deconstructing a tower? I don't know. I don't know why you'd be deconstructing a tower right now. So Skarg the Slaughterer is the other legendary lord for the Ogre Kingdoms. He's got big claw hands, and also just drags the cauldron around behind him, so he always has somewhere to chuck his bits. So he cuts bits off and then just chucks them right in the pot. Ah, good job, J-Dog. I knew you had it in you. Look at that. What a guy. So we go. A couple of battles from Warhammer 3. Hope you enjoyed that. Keep an eye out for other battles coming from other Total War content partners, and I'll see you next time.